Hello, hello. Welcome back. And today is, all right, technically it's day 6, but I've been sick. So it's really day 4. Um, Daily devotional. Absolutely love it. Today is entitled The Rock. The Rock, his work is perfect, and all his ways are just a faithful God without deceit, just and upright is he. Deuteronomy 32:4. What is the first thing that you think of when you hear the word rock? If you were a Jew at the time of Jesus, then you might answer foundation. Jesus certainly associated rock with foundation. Here are 2 examples. When Jesus renamed Simon, son of Jonah, he gave him the name Peter, which means rock, and said, "On this rock I will build my church." Matthew 16:18. In the parable of the wise and foolish builders, the wise man built his house on rock, and the foolish man built his house on sand. In the Middle East, during and before the time of Jesus, houses were built in the dry summer when the clay soil was extremely hard, and an unwise builder might get tired of digging for rock and just use the rock hard soil as his foundation. But when winter arrived, so did steady rain, and that rain could give a formerly hard soil the consistency of chocolate pudding. When the Israelites of Old Testament referred to God as a rock or the rock, however, they saw much more than a solid foundation. In Deuteronomy 32:4, the rock is described as perfect, just, faithful, sinless, and upright. Here are some other references to God as the rock that bore you, the God who gave you birth, Deuteronomy 32:18. The Lord lives, blessed be my rock, the rock of my salvation, 2 Samuel 22:47. They remembered that God was their rock, their redeemer, Psalm 78:35. You have forgotten God of your salvation, the rock of your refuge, Isaiah 17:10. God offered the people of Israel and us life, salvation, redemption, strength, refuge, everything we need, the rock. Why build on anything else? So, related passages, as you might imagine, would be Deuteronomy 32. Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak. Let the earth hear the words of my mouth. For I will proclaim the name of the Lord as ascribed greatness to our God. The rock, his work is perfect, and all his ways are just. A faithful God without deceit, just and upright is he. As well as Matthew 16:13-19. When Jesus came into the region of Caesarea Philippi, he was asking his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" And they said, "Some say John the Baptist, and others Elisha, and still others Jeremiah, or one of the other prophets." He said to them, "But who do you yourselves say I am?" Simon Peter answered, uh, yeah, Simon answered, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus said to him, "Blessed are you, Simon Barjona, because flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I also say to you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. The gates of Hades will not overpower it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth shall have been bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall have been lost in heaven." So, questions for reflection. How do you think that Simon, son of Jonah, felt when Jesus gave him that name that means the rock? How would you feel? I'd imagine, that's a lot. You have, the son of God coming to you and saying, hey, I'm giving you this name, Rock. That's, the steadfast one that in the Bible is referred to as, giving word to God as being all of these absolutely amazing things. You'd have to take that with a bit of awe. I guess kind of like getting picked for having a winning lottery number that you didn't even know you entered the lottery for. That's kind of, I guess, in my head, the easiest way for me to describe how I think you would feel. But also with a lot of, I don't want to say stress, because again, all of that would be given to God. So just kind of responsibility. Let's say that. That would come with that. For me, I can't even imagine how I would feel. I definitely would. It would come with a lot of trepidation. It would come with a lot of worry about making sure that I'm doing things right. But it would also come with a lot of joy, because that also means that obviously you are doing something right. Like you're in that right place. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be getting that title, or I wouldn't be getting that title. Has God given you a name? If so, what is it? If not, what would you like it to be? All right, so that's a question. No. And not that I feel. I don't know. I mean, I would want it to be whatever would feel appropriate for how God wants to utilize me. I mean, obviously, if you're going to be a rock, you're going to be that steadfast foundation. You're going to, be great. I would hope that it would be something along those lines, but it would all just depend on kind of what they wanted to, what God wanted to use me for. What areas of your life have you built on the foundation of God, the rock? What areas of your life are built on something else? Okay, so this has been something, and again, my journey is something that I'm still doing, but this has been something that I've been working on and, figuring out and trying to get better and better at. There are a lot of areas that I've leaned on. I've shared them in past videos, as far as patience, trust, community, for being able to look to others for things that are outside of myself, so for help, and that took a lot of building on God for those things, because they're just things that didn't come naturally to me, or things that I naturally kind of steered away from because I felt that it was something that I shouldn't be doing. I shouldn't be relying on others. I should be able to, rely within myself and be able to be the best me that I possibly could. That's really kind of the biggest area. Now, obviously, my goal is to have the Lord as my foundation in all things. That's still something I'm working on. Which kind of runs into areas that are built on something else. And those, again, I could go on for a while on that. But it's predominantly just going to be the things that I really would, like to get better and better and better at. And that's the things that I'm working on every day. Actually, one of the pieces I was thinking about on the way home today, on the way home, I was going through kind of a conversation I had with a former coworker not that long ago, and thinking about, oh, well, if I had still been there, this would have been the course of action I would have told you to take because of X, Y, and Z. And she was like, well, you weren't here anymore. And I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. I can understand why you made the decision you made. And I kind of went through and I'm like, oh, well, but I would have made this decision. And when questioned, they would have said why. And I would have said this, that, and the other. And it kind of just stopped mid thoughts. And the piece that came into my head was, why are you even thinking about this? I don't work at that job anymore. I don't work with those people anymore. I'm not, unless I'm going to up and put myself back into that situation. None of that stuff really matters. It's all things that are just kind of going through my head that can cause stress, that can cause anxiety, that can cause worry. And I start thinking, I'm like, well, because it's something that I can relate to. It's something that I can talk to myself and talk myself through and be like, hey, see me, I know this, I know that would be why this is the right decision, and that would be why this would be, so what? Like, I have to tell myself I know something that I already know, or something that I'm good at. I already know I'm good at that, and why does it even matter? Like, why am I filling my head with those things, and why am I stressing myself out about stuff that I'm no longer a part of? And that's definitely something that I don't have God as that foundation in. And, it's kind of led me to realize, like, I've always been jealous of people that can literally sit down for 6 hours and read a book. I'm like, I would love to be able to sit down for 6 hours and read a book. There are books that I have that I'm reading and I get an hour into them, I get 30 minutes into them, and I'm like, I'm off doing something else, or something else comes up. I would love to be able to just kick back, take a breath, and just read a book for 2-3 hours. And it's like all of this stuff that I keep in my head, that I keep inserting into my head, makes junk in my life. And that's definitely an area that I clearly am not relying on the Lord for, because if I was, that I wouldn't be worrying about that. Last question here is, how would you describe the task of moving a part of your life from I do apologize. From the wrong foundation to the rock? How can you do it? Who can help? So that actually, I kind of answered this with a lot of what I was talking about in the last one. The revelation I had on the way home this evening, the being able to lean on community and for understanding and knowledge outside of that which I have or I possess. There's always going to be a teacher somewhere, things like that. Those are the kinds of things that are going to lead me to putting the Lord as my foundation in these areas that I'm lacking, holding me accountable as well. I was very, very big into bodybuilding and fitness when I was younger. And one of the things that we used to always say is, no matter who you are, you always have a personal trainer. You always have somebody else that's holding you accountable. You always have somebody else that is helping you out, because you don't know everything. There's new stuff coming up all the time. You always need that, you always need to be grounded. You don't want to get too full of yourself, because then you're going to miss out on things. You might miss out on the opportunity of like having something that could be, career changing for you, or anything like that, or workout changing for you. There's always going to be somebody with a different perspective. There's always going to be somebody that can add something to what you have. And faith is no difference. You're always going to have the capability of finding somebody out there that's going to be able to enrich your faith or help you out with something. And those people are put there. The Lord puts those people there for a reason. Whether you utilize them or not, they're still there. He still put them there, and that's that's just like anything else. If you don't answer or utilize what he's giving you, then shame on you, because it makes everything a lot easier. So relying on that basis of, community and the people that I have around me that are lifting me up, that definitely is helping me think in a different way and utilize the pieces that I've learned, as well as the people that I know, in order to help with just more tangible things in my life, to be able to put them and give them into God's hands, and know that I don't have to try to stress and sit there and say, okay, well, I don't know this, I don't know how to do this, therefore it's going to fail, it's not going to work, this isn't going to happen. That's like that. I guess that's kind of part and parcel of what the purpose of what I just read is really kind of going towards. Like you know, through God, that's how everything is possible. That's how everything, utilizing Him as your rock, nothing will fail. Like it's going to survive. It's going to stand, and being able to put those pieces together and put the smaller pieces, the pieces that you feel are inconsequential, or hey, these aren't things that God's going to care about, or hey, my thoughts on a daily basis of whether or not, just random thoughts I have in my head, that's still something that He sees that is clogging my thought process, utilizing stressing my anxiety, stressing my body, my mind, and hey, stop, don't do that. Why would you do that to yourself? There's no necessity in doing that to yourself. That's what we're trying to show you here. That, I think, is pretty much the takeaway. I appreciate anybody who's watched this. Again, please feel free, answer the questions down in the comments, have a discussion. I do these for me. I don't necessarily, I do hope that somebody finds these and finds them helpful as much as I can be helpful. Somebody who's still tackling this all and trying to get it to where they're comfortable with it, but hopefully somebody finds it helpful and inspirational. Have a comment, have a conversation in the comments. But outside of that, thank you all for watching. God bless.